never sell to people in the room. The key is the people, when you go into a B&I chapter and you're there and you're sitting with the people in the room, I think a lot of people come in, they look around the room, they're kind of like, I know he'd be a good connection, he can get me more business, and she has probably great connections from me, and they probably don't know how to get me, but I know I should be getting more referrals from them. That's the wrong attitude to walk in with. You have to be the exact opposite. What I want you to do is when you walk into the room, I want you to walk in and look around the room and say to yourself, I haven't given him any business, and I should be able to give them more, and I've never given them any business, and I have no clue how to get that person a piece of business. And the reason for that is if we're going in and we go with that mentality, that's the giver's mentality. How can I give more to the people in this room? If I walk in, the first thing I'm doing is looking around the room saying, a lot of these people haven't given me business, and some of them should really be giving me business. Part of the reason is that we're approaching it from the wrong direction. If we approach it from how we can give versus how we can receive, and it's not just because it's a nice philosophy. The reality is if I go in and I'm saying how I can get from the people in the room, how they can give to me, then the problem is I have one person in the room working for me, and that's me. And the reality is if you join B&I, it's about leveraging your time, leveraging relationships. Okay, and if I go in and I end up having that mentality of what can they give to me, how can I educate each of them more because they should be able to give me more business, well, you haven't really embraced what this is about because you still have one person in the room working for you, and that's you. Versus if I go in and I say, how can I help everybody else? What can I do? And like that person, their business, they're a dog groomer. I have no idea how to get a dog groomer business, or they do this, or whatever the business is. And there's some businesses you're going to have no clue, and some businesses you're going to be able to say, I should be able to do that. Let me sit down with them and figure out how I can find out more. Or somebody say, hey, they're the type of business that I should be able to give them referrals, but I don't know him well enough yet. So you know what? Go up and tell the person that. Go up and say, hey, Dan, great to meet you. We're in the same power team. We should be able to give each other more referrals, and I love to do that. Here's the problem. I don't know you well enough, and we need to get to know each other before I feel confident referring you out. And you know what? It's okay to have those conversations because that's what we do, and that's being really honest in communication with people. But if we do that, if everybody walks in the room every week seeing how can I give more to these people and looking around the room and saying, who have I not given to, now we have everybody in the room working for each other. And that's what makes this work. If I keep going in with how I can get, it's not going to work for me. So we have to really get people into that mode. And I think as difficult it is for people to understand, is that's what makes it work. So we have to really get focused on that. So I think it's first starting with understanding is one, how do I walk into the room? And two, don't ever sell to people in the room. You can let them buy from you, but don't sell to them. So when you're doing your sales manager minute each week and you're there, what you want to do is as you're doing that sales manager minute is you want to be, these are people who are your marketing and sales staff. So don't talk to them like saying, oh, hey, everybody, Frank Raffele, and I have a consulting and training company, help small businesses become more profitable. And, a good referral, honestly, just about everybody in here is a good referral for me. All of you, I can help all of you. All of you should be doing a dance card with me because I can sit down and work with all of you and really helping your business. Well, I can pretty much guarantee you just isolated yourself from everybody in the room, and now nobody will do business with you because there's this whole pushy salesperson thing going on. Always talk beyond them. Talk about the relationship. Talk about other people that have these problems that you can help solve. So talk in problem solution and talk about those people out there and paint the picture for them of what those people look like and feel like and, et cetera, and make it easy for them to recognize those people. The people in the room will recognize if they're one of those people. You don't have to tell them that. Okay, but they'll recognize that. So what you want to do is talk beyond them so they understand how to go and get you business. The problem is if we have 15 or 30 or 60 people in a chapter, and I'm doing business with just the people in my chapter, that's going to lose its legs pretty quick. You're going to get through the people in your chapter and go, now what? And the reality is, let's say that took a year. Let's say you got 2 years worth of business from just the people in the room. And you're thinking, that's pretty good. Yeah, but now you're pretty much done. Because in those 2 years, you've never actually trained them how to go out and find you business. So you just got 2 years worth of business, and now you have to spend another year educating them to actually go find you business. So I think the focus has got to be, how do I educate and train my sales force, my marketing PR force to go out and recognize business for me, because we can't ever think that people are going to find business for us. I feel people in B&I, we don't find business for each other, we recognize business for each other, and that's what we have to really kind of get down to and understand that nobody's going to go out and leave the room and try and find me business, but they can recognize it in regular everyday conversations that you're having. Family, friends, associates, and clients they talk to every day, and in those conversations, those people are telling them that they need my business, but they're not saying it in those words. They're giving them clues, and you have to teach people how to recognize those clues. I think it starts from the invite and it ends at the end of the meeting. And what I mean by that is, and I'll give myself as a perfect example. If somebody's never come to your BNI meeting, so you figure, they can't have a negative impression as of yet, so they come neutral, and you have to kind of make that negative impression. Let's say on a scale from 1 to 10, you need to get them to an 8 or 9 before they're going to make the sale. Well, that's not necessarily true in terms of they don't have a negative impression. I was invited for 6 months to a BNI chapter, and I said no. And the reason I said no is because the lady that invited me told me how fantastic and wonderful and great this organization was. Incredible professionals, passing business, really good, I should come. And my reaction was, if it's that good, how are you a member? I didn't ask her that, please understand, but that's what I was thinking. Because I liked the person a lot, but I did not respect her as a business person. Just because she was kind of a little flaky, nothing against her. It was her personally. She was kind of a flaky person. So I'm like, okay, if it's that good a group, how are you a member of it? This is what I'm thinking. And I was like, well, I'm busy. No, I can't. But I tell you, every couple of weeks, she was bugging me to go. So after 6 months, she's asking me to go, and I said, okay, I kind of was changing a little something in my business. I said, let me go find out what this is about. And so I went there. Before I got there, I had a very negative impression of the group. So I'm thinking, if she's a member, it can't be very good. That's what I was thinking. So on a scale from 1 to 10, I was at -5. Okay, so they had to just make up the -5 before I was even neutral about it, right? So I go and I get to the meeting, and I walk in, and there's a visitor host table when I walk in. 2 guys standing there. Hi, how are you? Can I get your name? What are you? And I'm going like, well, that's pretty impressive. Okay, and then they come inside the room. They introduce me. Everything they're supposed to do, they did perfectly. I walked in. The end of that meeting, I gave a check. Okay, so they only not give me -5. They got me -5 to 5 to 8, and probably I was at 9 or 10 because I was like, done deal. And I had absolutely no desire to join this group before I got there. Never thought I would do it. But when I got there, they made that impression. So I think what we have to look at is the sale is, and we've talked about yes-no bucket theory before, drips in the yes bucket versus drips in the no bucket, which are psychological drips in sales. And we have to understand that when we do those drips in the yes or no bucket, that's what makes the sale for somebody. So let's say, for example, we don't have a visitor host table. Okay, you go to a chapter meeting and there's no visitor host table sitting there. Okay? But I walk into the meeting, I walk into the room, and everybody's really friendly to me and comes up to me. So my question would be, we didn't have a visitor host table. The guest that comes doesn't know there's supposed to be a visitor host table. So when he walked in the room and everybody's really friendly, was there a negative impression to him because there wasn't a visitor host table? The answer is no, because he didn't know there was supposed to be one, so he doesn't care. So we're saying, okay, so I guess it doesn't matter to have a visitor host table. Well, yes and no. Does it matter? Didn't matter to that person, but does it matter? What's happened is you have what we call opportunity loss in sales. Okay? And I'll give you an example. So let's say last night there was a chamber function, and you didn't go to the chamber function. And I said, Dan, last night, how much money did you lose by not going to that meeting that you're not aware of? The person says, what are you talking about? How much money did you lose last night that you're not aware of? Well, how could I know if I'm not aware of it? That would be my point. You don't know how much money you lost last night because you had opportunity lost. There may have been opportunity sitting there for you that you're not aware of, so you lost money and you don't even know about it. Well, that's what happened when somebody came up without a visitor host table. They walked in, no negative, but that visitor host table was an opportunity to put drips in the yes bucket. I walk up, I see 2 people standing there, visitor host table, very professionally done. I walk up and like, wow, what's this? And I realize that I can't get into the room until I get past these people. They're going to sign me in. They ask me who I am, who invited me, can I have 2 business cards? When I have you sign in, they make me a name badge. They tell me about the meeting. This is impressive. So I'm getting 1, 2, 5, 8 drips in the yes bucket. So now before I walk into the room, everybody's friendly, I've already got 8 or 10 drips in the yes bucket that this is a professional meeting. But we lost that when we didn't have it. So that was opportunity loss. Okay? We go into the meeting, and then all those little things that we say they're important in the meeting, those are all drips in that yes bucket. And I believe people who are really bright, okay, who join BNI, who just come to meetings, those bright business people that we invite to be there, they get it. And as they're sitting there in this meeting, they're going to kind of be like, wow, what is this? And every little thing that happens in the meeting, when it's done very professionally, are drips in the yes bucket, drips in the yes bucket. At the end of that meeting, and when they're hearing, this is just, so the guests that are here today, this is an organization, we're exclusive by profession. We only allow 1 person per classification to come in. If it's something you're interested in, you can put in an application for membership. The membership committee will review that, and we'll let you know if you've been accepted. Now I'm saying, well, I want to be the person in this chapter. Because if all the chips in the yes bucket, why would I not want to be of this chapter? So I think the answer to how do we convert is we run an incredibly professional meeting. And if we do that, I think the sale at the end is the given. I think if we feel we're not closing the people right, I feel, well, the only reason you have to close them is because you didn't do something right earlier on. You didn't show enough value. These people should be like, this is incredible. And if we're there and people are doing incredible sales management, it's a great presentation, giving a great referrals, talking about the money that's made in the chapter, we passed $50,000 or $500,000 so far, okay, people are going to be like, I want a piece of that money. So they're going to do it. So I think that the number one thing for us to do as leadership teams and as members and as directors to making sure in BNI what we're doing is we have to focus on how do we give greater value, and value comes from the professionals and how we run that meeting. That will contribute to the close of the sale. Obviously, at the end, inviting the person back and ask them to submit a membership, an application is important more than anything else because you've just finished telling this person how exclusive it is and they may not be accepted, so they need somebody to ask them to do the application because otherwise they feel like, well, maybe I'm not going to be accepted. Maybe they don't want me here. So they need to feel that they're wanted there. So I think that's really the key. And that business orientation is really important because now the meeting's done, they bring them to a separate place or sit them down and talk to them. We want to kind of tell you what to expect from BNI and what we're really all about. Again, this is major drips in the yes bucket right here. Wow, this group is really organized, very professional in what they do. And then if we go through the expectations that they should have of the group, we would have of them, how this whole thing works, if it's the attendance policy and all that, they feel like, wow, people are being really upfront with me and what this is, and the way they handle it is very, very professional. And then we say to them, so if there's something that if you'd like us to have the membership committee consider your membership, you can put it in an application. So something along those lines, people are like, yeah, because I've been asked now. So that's important to me. Otherwise, we're talking about how exclusive it is, you may not be accepted and all this kind of stuff, and then we don't ask the people, we're thinking they're not interested. It's like, no, they may have been interested, but you may have scared them off. They didn't know they were supposed to ask. They thought maybe they were supposed to be asked, to be invited to be a member then. So we need to invite them to be a member. I think the key is, my reaction to them if they ask me is like, we don't feel comfortable closing the sale. My reaction would be, don't close the sale. Invite the person to become a member. Because here's the reality. Nobody can join BNI. And technically, you can't have them join BNI. You don't have the power to do that. People can put an application in for membership, and the membership committee will decide if they're right for the chapter or not. So even if you said to your best friend or somebody who was there, we'd love for you to join, you pretty much just told them a lie because you don't know if they're going to be able to join. They can put an application in for membership, and they may be accepted, may not. So the reality is you're not doing that person a service. Don't close them. Invite them to submit an application so we can look it over and see if it makes sense. If nothing else, we're looking for someone in your profession. I think, and a lot of those, one of the key questions to ask somebody before you invite them there or once they're there is, are you in a position to take on new business right now? Because if we're going to refer you business, we need to know that you're going to be able to handle the new business that we're going to give you. A lot of times that perks people up saying, yeah, yes, of course I'm taking new business. Okay, well, then you might want to submit an application. Yeah, and I think it's so important to qualify them ahead of time on what they're doing, and then that can be part of almost the application process, talking to people saying, look, if we were able to give you a significant amount of business in the next 6 months, how much more business do you think you can handle right now? Is it 10%, 20%, 50%? And because we want to make sure that our members feel comfortable in referring you out, you can handle it. We want everybody here to be happy. So, no, you're absolutely right. I think some people don't really have the impression of what this can really do for their business, and just like, oh, it's a nice group of people, I'll join. But they don't really think ahead of what this can be. And I think as members, or a membership committee, I think it's our responsibility. If that person comes in and can't handle the business, it's not their fault. It's our fault. We didn't pre-qualify them. And the reality is, because we know what this can do for them, so we have to be the ones to help them prep for this. And if we don't, then it's really our fault that they weren't able to perform. It's not their fault.